The United States just dropped a bombshell. 12 countries are now banned from entering, with 7 more facing partial restrictions. The official reason? National security. But the timing, the omissions, and the deeper motives behind this move are raising serious questions. For example, the attack that supposedly triggered this ban was linked to a man from Egypt. But Egypt isn't even on the list. So why were countries like Somalia, Chad, and Myanmar targeted, while others were spared? Is this really about security, or something else entirely? And more importantly, is this just the beginning? In this video, we're breaking down exactly who's banned, why it's happening now, and what this could mean for travelers, students, and immigrants across the globe. Let's get into it. So, who exactly is on Trump's new travel ban list? 12 countries are now facing full travel bans, meaning most new travel to the US from those places is suspended, with only limited exceptions. The list stretches across 3 continents. From Asia, it includes Afghanistan and Myanmar. In the Middle East, we have Iran and Yemen. And across Africa, the full bans apply to Sudan, Libya, Somalia, Chad, Eritrea, Equatorial Guinea, and the Republic of the Congo. The final country on the list is Haiti, the only one in the Americas. But that's not all. 7 more countries are facing partial restrictions, meaning specific visa types are blocked or entry is limited based on security categories. These include Venezuela, Cuba, Laos, Burundi, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Turkmenistan. Altogether, 19 countries are now affected. Many are considered politically unstable, diplomatically isolated, or have poor cooperation with U.S. immigration protocols. The administration cites terrorism risks, high visa overstay rates, and failure to accept deportees. On the surface, it's a security measure. But the full picture is far more complicated. On paper, this travel ban is all about national security. But when you look closer, the reasoning becomes much harder to follow. Some countries were banned for being labeled as terrorism risks, like Iran, Somalia, and Afghanistan. Others, such as Chad and Myanmar, were penalized for high visa overstay rates. And nations like Eritrea and Sudan were cited for failing to provide identity documents or accept deported nationals. But here's where it gets inconsistent. Laos, which only received a partial ban, has a higher overstay rate than some countries that were fully banned. And several countries with even worse overstay numbers, like Nigeria or the Dominican Republic, weren't restricted at all. U.S. officials have called the overstay issue a blatant disregard for immigration laws. But if that's the true standard, why are key offenders being overlooked? What starts to emerge is a pattern that has less to do with data and more to do with diplomacy. Countries with strong military alliances, strategic value, or close U.S. partnerships seem to avoid full bans, even when their numbers don't justify it. The numbers don't lie, but they don't fully explain the pattern either. And that raises a bigger question. Is this really about security, or about sending a message? One of the most surprising omissions from the travel ban list is Egypt. The alleged attacker in Colorado, the very incident Trump referenced as justification for the ban, was an Egyptian national. But Egypt didn't make the list, not even partially. This raises an obvious question. If the attack was serious enough to prompt new travel restrictions, why was the attacker's home country left out? The answer may have less to do with security and more to do with diplomacy. Egypt has been a key U.S. ally in the Middle East for decades and receives over $2.1 billion in U.S. military and economic assistance each year, including $1.3 billion in military aid. The U.S. Embassy has described Egypt as a valued partner in counterterrorism and regional security operations. Trump has also maintained a personal relationship with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, once referring to him as his favorite dictator. That kind of political closeness is hard to ignore. So while other countries with looser ties were fully banned, Egypt's deep partnership with the U.S. may have earned it a pass, even when all eyes were on it. And that makes the logic behind this travel ban look far less consistent. This new travel ban didn't appear out of thin air. It was announced 6 months into Trump's return to the White House. a time when presidents typically push their clearest policy priorities. And immigration has always been central to Trump's message. It echoes his 2017 travel ban, which was immediately challenged in court and criticized as a Muslim ban. But this time, the rollout was far more calculated. Legal experts note that the 2025 version gives advance notice, includes more defined exemptions, and avoids targeting green card holders, all lessons from the backlash of Trump's first term. Trump himself said the recent Colorado attack underscored the extreme dangers posed by foreign nationals who weren't properly vetted. But critics argue the timing is more about optics than threats, designed to send a strong political message about control and security. The ban is already facing backlash. Democrats call it discriminatory and isolationist. Human rights groups say it's cruel and racist. And some foreign governments are now retaliating or publicly expressing concern. This isn't just an immigration policy, it's a bold, early-term statement, and one that's already reshaping global perceptions of the U.S. Behind the headlines, there are real people. And this travel ban is already reshaping lives in profound ways. For students, families, and visa holders from the banned countries, the impact is immediate. While the restrictions don't target current green card holders, they do block most new visa applicants, including students, workers, and even those with previously approved petitions. It also affects those who supported the U.S. directly. Since 2021, nearly 200,000 Afghans have resettled in America, many after assisting U.S. forces during the war. Now they face a system that's closing its doors behind them. And the numbers behind that closure tell a striking story. Over the past decade, nearly 800,000 Venezuelans and 300,000 Cubans were granted entry through various visa pathways, many of which are now suspended. And yet, the risk the ban claims to prevent is vanishingly small. Researchers estimate the chance of being killed by a terrorist from any of the banned countries is 1 in 13.9 billion per year. The backlash has already begun. Chad suspended U.S. visas. Venezuelan officials called the ban fascist. Amnesty International labeled it discriminatory, racist, and downright cruel. And the African Union urged the U.S. to act in a way that reflects its long-standing partnership with the continent, warning of damage to decades of diplomatic ties. This isn't just a policy shift. For many, it's a future lost, before it even had a chance to begin. This may be just the beginning. In a video statement, Trump said, new countries could be added to the travel ban as threats emerge around the world. The language is vague, and for millions of travelers and immigrants, it's deeply unsettling. Some experts warn that countries like Nigeria, Pakistan, or even India could be next, especially as the administration tightens its focus on visa overstays, deportation refusals, and national security cooperation. Already, student visa denials and airport deportations have been rising, even for nationals from countries not currently on the list. The criteria behind the ban, vague vetting concerns, overstay rates, and political instability, are broad enough to apply to dozens more nations. That leaves many wondering not just who's banned now, but who might be added next. The White House framed the move as a common-sense restriction to protect Americans from dangerous foreign actors. But critics say it's more than that. It's a statement. Political analyst Thomas Gift described it bluntly. America isn't an open, pluralist nation that welcomes the world to its shores. The list may have started with 19 countries, but the message and its global consequences may only be getting started. So where does this leave us? A ban that targets some countries, spares others, and leaves the rest of the world watching closely. The reasoning isn't always clear, but the message is. Do you think this is about national security, or is something else at play? Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. We'll keep following the story. Thanks for watching.